Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto was neglected by his family gained Hashirama power part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please give me hype instead of comment and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. A loud roar echoed through the village as a huge fox with 9 swishing tails. Its fur a dark bloodish red and its eyes, its powerful blood-red pupils with black slits that can stare deep into your soul glared down upon the mortals that were scampering and running. Its claws as sharp as any blade slashed and cut through buildings crushing any and all in its way. It's the Kyuubi. Quickly warned the Hokage, one of the ninjas screamed whilst running to the Hokage tower. The rest of the village had taken notice of the raging Biju approaching them as shinobi were readying themselves for the onslaught. A small part of their forces were caring for the civilians and sending them to the shelters. Minato was nowhere to be found as the forces were gathering only for the shinobi no Kami Hiruzen Saratobi to appear. Sandaime-sama, the gates have been destroyed and the Kyuubi has entered the village perimeter. What are your orders? A random Chunin asked. Everyone under Jonin must pull back to the shelters. We need to make sure that the civilians stay safe. Hiruzen ordered. The Jonin and Anbu shall attack the beast and stall it, which will give us time so we can seal it again. Hi! They shouted. Now go, stated Hiruzen as the ninja scattered. Bore. Go find Minato, the rest of you follow me. They charged as the other shinobi jumped up to the rooftops and skidded towards the Ninetails. Almost half of the village fallen to the rampaging beast, corpses of villagers and ninjas littered the streets as they passed them. Thousands of jutsus were fired at the fox, which was starting to annoy him. Arg! You filthy humans! Kyuubi roared as it slashed its claws towards the ground, crushing many shinobi under his mighty paws. Fire style! Great firestorm! Fugaki shouted as he and his clansmen all launched blazes of fire at the same time, causing the flames to form a tsunami of raging fire as it roared itself to the fox. Pathetic Uchiha! Kurama laughed and with a swish of a tail the fire disappeared. He then unleashed his massive chakra, sending the Uchiha that attacked him flying a few feet. He was about to form a Bijudama when suddenly the Uzumaki sealing chains rose from the ground and began to bind him. He was pushed to the ground as he struggled greatly to break free. What? These chains? Could it be Kushina? The fox roared in anger. Not really, little kid. Kara Uzumaki teased, making the fox look down upon her. You! Kyuubi roared. I am surprised you remember me, kidling. It's me, Kara Uzumaki. Now be a good foxy and sit there like a good boy so can we seal you up again. How dare you treat me, the mighty Kyuubi, like a sniveling little child, he snarled, letting out a roar. And you can forget about sealing me. No seal can hold me. Kara Uzumaki. Saratobi summoned Enma as the Monkey King turned into the adamantine staff as he had it enlarged and struck the beast in the head. Quickly, I stunned it for a short minute. Use your strongest jutsus on it. The shinobi nodded as they began to go through hand signs as they unleashed fire style, water style, earth style, even lightning style jutsus at the fox, causing a little damage. Hiruzen was about to use his jutsu when a flash of yellow appeared next to him. It was none other than Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage. Minato, where have you been? Don't you know that we are being attacked by the Kyuubi? Hiruzen demanded. Your sister-in-law can barely hold on with their chakra chains. The Yondaime chuckled. I was with my wife, she was having our children, I'm finally a father, he said before getting serious, until that masked man came in and ripped the fox out of my wife. Kara interrupted him. Minato, as much as I want to hear the rest of your story, we have more important matters at the moment. She screamed as her chakra chains suddenly failed as one of the fox's massive paws got free and swung at her as she was immediately crushed by him. Minato gasped as Hiruzen quickly reminded him that the Kyuubi is almost close to the center of the village and that the only hope that we have now is to seal it. The Yondaime knew that there was only one seal powerful enough to hold the 9 tails, the Reaper Death Seal. You're right, Hiruzen-sama, and I will be using the Reaper Death Seal to seal the 9 tails into my children, but I'll separate the fox to ensure it can't break out. Minato said with a pained look on his face. I can't ask anyone else to sacrifice their child if I can't do the deed myself. Minato, let me do the sealing, Hiruzen replied, shocking Minato. I have lived a long life and you're still young. The village needs you now, he said with a smile. The only thing I ask you is to keep your children safe and treat them all equal. Konohagakure Hospital. Minato flashed back to his wife who was with their children. With a heavy heart he told her that he was going to seal the 9 tails into their children to save the village. As always, Kushina forbade it as she didn't want her children to suffer the fate of being a Jinchuriki. Kushina-chan, I don't want to do this but I have no choice, the village will fall if I don't seal the fox away. Minato said sadly but firmly. Please Kushina, it's for the best, surely you understand. Minato, use me to seal the 9 tails. You know the hardships Jinchuriki face. I wouldn't wish that upon my children. Kushina cried. Kushina, they need you in order to control the fox. Besides, you'll be able to teach them things I can't, things only a mother would know. But they need their father. She sobbed. And the village needs their Hokage right now. Please Kushina, remember our family is shinobi, the will of the village comes first. Kushina was about to retort but sadly she herself couldn't help but agree. Konoha was her home and like any ninja she must put aside personal feelings for the safety of the village. She let out a little cry as she held the children to her husband. Minato could only look down upon the beautiful children that they made. Menma, the eldest, had their father's spiky hair but Kushina's eyes. Naruto was a perfect clone of Kushina with red hair but with blue eyes. The Yondaime smiled sadly and hugged them close. Forgive me my children that I must make you become Jinchuriki, but I promise you that your mom will always protect you. I will make sure that you have the happiest childhood you could ever want with her. Minato cried as he flashed back to the battlefield. Battlefield. Village gates. Hiruzen was going through the hand signs for the earth release. Mud swamp jutsu as the Kyuubi suddenly became stuck in the muddy depths, restricting all of his movements. It looked to be trapped, but even he shouldn't underestimate the 9 tails. It would soon be a matter of time before it got free again. The sounds of cracks in the earth only added to his fear. He soon gasped as the 9 tails rose his head to the sky and opened his mouth as it was gathering energy for a Bijudama. Damn it, if that thing finishes its attack the village is done for, Hiruzen said grimly. Suddenly a large poof of smoke appeared above the fox as Gambunta the toad boss landed on the fox, preventing it from launching its attack. I don't think so, Furball, Gambunta said. Damn you. Kyuubi roared. Now was the moment for Minato to begin the sealing as he was about to begin the hand signs when he was stopped by the 3rd Hokage. Minato, I said I would do the sealing. Remember, I am an old man and it's time for you to lead the young generation. Now hand me the children and I will seal the 9 tails into them. But Minato stopped him as he refused to let his predecessor sacrifice himself if he couldn't do it himself. Minato sighed as he performed the hand signs at a fast rate. Finishing the last hand sign he shouted. Fuinjutsu. Shiki Fujin. Suddenly the air got cold as the Shinigami appeared in all of her ethereal glory. Her appearance was ghost-like, her face hidden by a demon mask. She was dressed in whitish-gray robes with a necklace in her left hand and a katana in her right hand. In front of her, bound in ghostly whips, was Minato's soul. Who dares summon me? The goddess demanded. Forgive me, Shinigami-sama, Minato stated as he spoke to the goddess. I wish to offer my soul as payment to seal the Kyuubi's chakra into Menma and the soul of the Kyuubi into my youngest son Naruto. The Shinigami smirked. Very well, mortal, I will seal the beast within your children. The goddess thrusted her hand into Minato's back as it reached through the man's frail body and towards the 9 tails. Kurama gasped in fear as the ghostly hand made contact. No, no, I will not be sealed again, no. The fox screamed as he was separated and pulled into Menma and Naruto. The 8 trigram seal appeared on the babies' bellies as the sealing was complete. However, the Shinigami noticed something strange about Naruto as she saw future events, and it brought a smile, a dark evil smile upon her face. You are the one, Naruto, I can tell you are a special boy, and you can be the one that will save and change her for the better. She smiled, gazing down upon the sleeping red-haired baby as she raised her arm up to the moon as an orb flew into her open palm. She then placed the orb within Naruto as Naruto's chakra color went from blue to white. Good luck, little one, I have sealed Kagaya's power within you. I know you'll use it wisely and change the world. The goddess then turned towards the Yondaime as she grinned a bit, which frightened him. I won't be taking your soul, mortal. What? Minato said shockingly. He couldn't believe that he was being spared. But he felt there was some kind of catch. I'll get your soul one day, and I am a very patient woman, she laughed darkly, making Minato shiver. But don't make me regret sparing your life. This is a one-time deal, but don't take my decision as an act of mercy, she snarled as she vanished. Minato sighed a sigh of relief as he picked up his children and flashed back to his wife. The village was saved thanks to the noble sacrifice of Minato. The following day of the attack, Minato announced to the village of the noble sacrifice he performed to save the village. My people of Konohagakure, Minato announced. Today our village suffered a major blow from the attack of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. We lost many loved ones who gave their lives to help us defeat it. Today we honor their sacrifice, especially my sister-in-law Kara Uzumaki. It was thanks to her bloodline and her fuinjutsu skills that we were able to contain it. So the Kyuubi is gone for good? A villager asked. Yes, I was able to summon the Shinigami herself to help me defeat the Kyuubi. But since the fox is pure chakra, I had no other option but to seal it away into my son. He and his wife then held up their 2 sons to the village. My eldest son Menma Namikaze holds the chakra of the fox and will use it to protect the village. He praised, but somehow he forgot to mention Naruto. The village cheered for their Yondaime and their saviors, well, savior, as they view Menma as the hero who stripped the demon fox of its power. Minato and Kushina had trust in the village to treat their children with respect for their sacrifice. However, nobody took notice of Naruto, who was consumed by strange white chakra. Minato knew that his children was going to be happy and he was going to ensure that happened. A burial was held to honor those who lost their lives in their fight with the Kyuubi. Among them was Kara Uzumaki, the older sister of Kushina. She was one of the village's greatest seal masters. Her skills in the art gave rise to future seal masters. Kushina was heartbroken when she heard her sister died to save the village. She vowed to raise her children to be like their aunt and teach them what it means to be a real Uzumaki. However, that wasn't to be, as Jiraiya had arrived at his office that afternoon telling him about a prophecy that talked about his children. A child will be born from the mighty tree. He will have powers of ancients long forgotten. With power of the divine beast he will save the world or become its destruction. If shrouded in darkness, the child of prophecy will bring death to all in its path. If shrouded in love and light, the child will bring the cycle of hatred to an end. He will bear the light of the moon and will use its power to bring peace. Upon hearing that, Jiraiya told his student that he believed that it was Menma since he held the 9 tails chakra, along with the fact that the fox was a divine beast whose powers were of ancient descent. It was then decided that they will leave the village to train their eldest to control the fox's power, but it also meant that they had to leave their son Naruto behind. They called Lord Hiruzen to his office to discuss their plan. Hiruzen answered their call with Orochimaru at his side. Yes, Minato? Hiruzen asked. You summoned me for something? Yes, Hiruzen, I have summoned you here to retake the mantle of Hokage for a while. Why? The aged Hokage wondered. Why not have Orochimaru fill in for you? Orochimaru would be a good choice, but you have the experience. What aren't you telling us, Minato? Orochimaru asked. Letting out a sigh, Minato revealed his plan to train Menma to harness the Kyuubi's chakra at their capital in the Fire Capital. When Orochimaru asked if they will also train Naruto, since the soul of the Kyuubi was more tempting and manipulative than the chakra, Minato told them with a heavy heart that Naruto was going to be left behind. Minato, you can't be serious about this, exclaimed Hiruzen with wide eyes. I'm very serious, Hiruzen, Minato responded seriously. But he's your son. You can't just dump him like he's a disposable toy, retorted Lord Third. We aren't doing anything of the sort, replied Kushina harshly. She thought that the third Hokage would understand their reasons for doing this. Doesn't seem like it, Orochimaru scoffed while holding Naruto in his arms. Menma needs training in order to gain control of Kyuubi's chakra. We are going to take him to our estate in the fire capital. We've already talked to the fire daimyo and he's already agreed. What about Naruto? Are you just going to leave him here on his own? Asked Hiruzen, referring to the young redhead in his prized student's arms. We can't bring Naruto with us, it's too dangerous for him to come with us, Minato said, taking a step back from the former Hokage's glare. And how, pray tell, is his parents leaving him on his own not dangerous? Orochimaru growled. We have to put all of our attention on Menma because of the demon chakra. Since Naruto has the soul of the Kyuubi, he won't need any special training, Kushina stated. Plus, with Kumo and Iwa still angry at them since the previous war, they'll be gunning for Minato and Kushina whenever they can, said Jiraiya. With Naruto in the village, he will be protected and safe from any assassins they sent. Plus, no one will know of his heritage. Like hell he will, the Snake Sannin thought to himself. I know this village won't accept little Naruto-chan since they fear what they don't understand. Hiruzen unleashed so much ki that it was suffocating to Minato, Kushina, and Jiraiya. It disturbed Menma, but it didn't really affect Naruto for some strange reason. Where will he stay while you're gone? He demanded. Well, we can't have him living with any of the clans, as that would draw suspicion towards him, and we'd prefer it if nobody but you, Kakashi, Tsunade, and Orochimaru know about this. Minato stated. So it would be best that he stays in an orphanage, Kushina said as she was sweating from Hiruzen's ki that was drilling holes through their faces. Oh hell no. Orochimaru hissed as he let out killer intent, but it was masked over by the killer intent of the third wind as he felt the men's anger as he whimpered and started to cry. Orochimaru gasped as he realized that they were scaring little Naruto. Oh Naruto, Uncle Snake is so sorry. We were just a little mad at your parents, we're sorry. An orphanage. You want your little boy to grow up in an orphanage? Hiruzen growled, not liking this one bit. It's perfectly safe. It won't draw any suspicion, and when you tell everyone that Naruto has the soul of the Kyuubi, he will be declared a hero among the populace. We'll train Menma, and until he turns 13 we will come back to be with Naruto. Minato said. Jiraiya nodded in agreement with his student. I'll drop in here and now to check up on Naruto. The Toad Sage couldn't stay in the village for long as he had to help Minato and Kushina train their eldest Menma, who he believed was the child of prophecy. Tsunade was going with them as she was the children's personal doctor to ensure that they won't get injured anytime soon. She was after all their grandmother. That's right, Tsunade had a one-night stand with a man named Hans Namikaze and ended up pregnant with Minato. She cared for her son like any mother would, and she was going to be there to take care of her grandchildren. Well, one of them. You've truly become a fool, Minato, to think that this plan of yours will work. I should have made the better decision and declared Orochimaru the fourth Hokage instead of you, Hiruzen said in disdain. Minato winced at those words, as did the others, as they never thought that they would hear those kind of words coming from Saratobi's mouth. Regardless of what you may think of us, Hiruzen, we won't change our minds. We will take Menma to our estate in the fire capital and train him to control the Kyuubi's chakra, and nothing you say will change our minds. Kushina said in a firm and stubborn tone. Hiruzen and Orochimaru stood up as they glared their darkest glare at the group, which scared them a little, but the group stood their ground. The third Hokage glare was directed towards Kushina as the redhead felt that immense killer intent increase. But it wasn't as intense as the snake's killer intent. I can't believe that you, Kushina, would abandon one child for the other. This clearly shows me that you are play favorites with your children. Orochimaru sneered. Kushina growled. I am not playing favorites, you bag of scales. She ranted. Yes, you are, Kushina. You're leaving Naruto behind because he isn't a Kyuubi-powered child. However, this disproves one other thing, he growled. Really? And what does it prove, Orochimaru? Kushina replied. You're a blood traitor. He shouted, shocking them, especially Kushina. A true Uzumaki does not abandon family for any reason, especially for some prophecy told by an old toad. A true Uzumaki stands by their family, their whole family. And because you are choosing to favor Menma over Naruto, this shows and proves you are nothing more than a blood traitor. He roared as he stopped to catch his breath. You're treading on thin ice, Snake. Kushina is doing this for both of her sons. Her duty is to the world. Suan shouted. Her duty is to be a mother. Orochimaru retorted, glaring at Kushina. Your duty is to take care of both of your children. As I recall, you swore to your sister that you would raise both of your children to become like her. To represent what a true Uzumaki is. Kushina stood there for a minute and was about to retort when Hiruzen interrupted her again. Get out, all of you. At this moment you have all lost my respect, especially you, Kushina. I thought that after what Mito taught you about family you would take those to heart, but clearly you care more about the prophecy than your own son. Hiruzen stated. You clearly don't understand the severity of the situation. Minato said sternly. Exactly, you're getting upset over nothing, said Jiraiya. Hiruzen tried to hold his rage in before calling his Anbu. Weasel. You called Lord Third, Weasel said, bowing to him. Itachi, please escort this bunch from my office, I can't stand the sight of them. Also take them to the edge of the village gate as they are leaving for the fire capital, Hiruzen sneered. Hi, Itachi shouted as he escorted Minato and his group out of the office. Hiruzen sighed as he watched from the window as the Namakazes and the remaining Sannin left. Unknown to them, a certain deity watched the whole thing, and boy oh boy was she not happy. Kami's realm. Shinigami's domain. Shinigami roared as she shoved her stack of paperwork off her desk and then threw the desk into the wall, breaking it in half. She was really pissed, and I mean pissed, and that rarely ever happens. The reason being for her anger was a certain blonde-haired human that she spared. That bastard! She screamed, punching a hole in the wall. I, being the generous goddess, spared that blonde-haired monkey's life after sealing the 9 tails into his children, and he goes and abandons his youngest like he doesn't matter because he doesn't hold the fox's chakra. Ooh, by the gods, I'll kill him. She sat down in her chair and rubbed her head. Mortals were always so defiant when the gods grant them certain privileges like power, or knowledge, or sometimes rarely eternal life. She never really believed in humankind that her sister Kami made. To her they were flesh bags or her little playthings until a certain baby blonde seemed to worm his way into her cold and stone heart. The boy was special, but she couldn't understand why, but she didn't dwell on it. Right now she had to think of a way to get revenge on Minato Namikaze. Having a migraine again, sister? Yami asked as she and Kami, entering her office, her destroyed office, placed a cup of jasmine tea on her desk. It's that blonde bastard of Konoha. She then took hold of her cup of tea and took a few sips. The warm taste of jasmine tea seemed to calm her a little. As you know, Kami, I sealed the 9 tails into Minato's children. Of course I remember. You spared his life so he could raise his family. Kami chuckled as she poured herself some tea and took a seat next to her death goddess sister. Most of his family, Shinigami growled. Yami turned her head towards her with wide eyes as she took her seat. What do you mean by most of his family? What aren't you telling me? That bastard and his abandoned their youngest son in favor of his siblings because he doesn't have the Kyuubi's chakra. She panted as she looked at her shocked sister. Kami put her cup down as she was shocked out of her mind. Her little sister was concerned about a human, and not just any human, a child. She thought this must be some of her tricks or a genjutsu as she did the hand signs to break the genjutsu, only nothing happened. Well, my little sister actually cares about a human. I never thought I'd see the day, Kami thought to herself as she laughed. The Shinigami noticed her sister's laughter and growled, wondering why she was laughing at her. She then went wide-eyed. Her sister must have found out that she was concerned about a certain human. She groaned, knowing that she will never hear the end of this. Oh, go ahead, laugh it up, but rest assured I'm going to make sure that Minato and Kushina regret this for the rest of their lives, Shinigami said in a cold tone. Yami smirked. Really, and how are you going to do that? Last time I checked, we can't interfere with mortal affairs, it's the law, remember? Screw the rules. the death goddess shouted, shocking her sisters. I owe it to that poor boy, and I'm going to make sure that he has people that will raise him and will one day make Naruto so powerful Minato will be begging at his feet. She laughed evilly as she rubbed her hands together. Cammy face-palmed at her sister. Her sister wasn't always one for following rules. She was a rebel. Hell, she wouldn't even listen to her most of the time. It's only when she threatened her would she fall into place, but now it seems that won't even work. However, Yami couldn't help but want to see how this would play out. She wondered what she would do for this human child named Naruto Uzumaki. Okay sis, say I let you do this, how are you going to make this up to the boy? Yami asked. The Shinigami gave Yami a smirk as her sisters knew right then and there what she had in mind. Cammy couldn't believe that was even going to consider that. It was absolutely insane. Shinny-chan, please, you can't possibly consider what I think you're considering, are you? Cammy said. Death Goddess didn't reply. Instead, she disappeared in a swirl of crying and screaming tormented souls as she left Cammy's realm and descended down to the mortal world. Konohagakure Hokage Tower. They left. They actually left and abandoned Naruto here, Orochimaru growled as his rage increased tenfold. Hiruzen sighed as he sat down in the Hokage seat. Yes, they left and they wanted him to live in an orphanage. Like hell he will. A voice shouted. Naruto isn't going to live in any orphanage. Startled, the men took their defensive position to protect themselves and Naruto. They noticed a dark portal appear at the office door as a woman came out of it. Her appearance was dark but beautiful. Hiruzen demanded who she was. A dark chuckle made them quiver with fear as she looked up at them. I am here on good faith, Hiruzen, she chuckled. Who are you? Orochimaru hissed, getting his snakes ready to strike her. I am the one who helped Minato seal away the Kyuubi. Shinigami. They both gasped. Bingo, and the reason I'm here is for the little one. Shinigami, with all due respect, you can't take Naruto. He's only a baby, Hiruzen replied with a bit of desperation in his tone. Ha 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 ha, she laughed. I haven't laughed this much in centuries, ha 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 ha. I'm not here to take Naruto. I'm here to make up for what his parents did. Please tell me you'll devour their souls, the snake Sannin begged. Ha 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 ha, maybe, but no, the goddess chuckled. What I am going to do is give Naruto a new set of parents. Ones that will show him good morals and raise him to be a proper shinobi. After all, he is the prophecy child. What? The men shouted. Naruto is the chosen one. Yes, he is. Now on to business. I'm going to return 2 people from the dead and restore them to their youth. They will become Naruto's new parents, and not only that, they will change the way of the village and bring back the true will of fire. Who are these people you're going to resurrect? Hiruzen asked. Hashirama Senju and Mito Uzumaki. She answered. Hiruzen froze in shock. The Shinigami was going to bring back the first Hokage of the Hidden Leaf and the greatest seal mistress in Konoha back to life. Many thoughts were blowing through his mind like a wild storm. He was debating on whether or not this was the answer. One part of him told him to leave his sensei and his wife to rest in peace as they did their job. But the other part of him believed that having Hashirama back would set the village back on the right path, plus Hiruzen could finally retire. After all, Hashirama died young, so he was sure he could handle being Hokage again. Plus this would be a good upbringing for Naruto. I believe it's a good idea, said Orochimaru, shocking his sensei. What are you saying, Orochimaru? Hiruzen asked. What I mean, sensei, is that Hashirama and Mito would be the perfect role models for him. Especially since this will be a shocker when Suand and the others come back, the Sannin smirked. Well, the Shinigami asked impatiently. What do you say? Hiruzen sighed. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with Orochimaru. Having them back would greatly benefit not only the village, but Naruto as well. But may I ask, Shinigami-sama, why are you doing this? I owe it to the boy, she answered. Wow, who knew you had a heart? Orochimaru chuckled. Don't push it, snake, she snarled. Well, I still agree it's a good idea, Hiruzen smiled. A wise choice. Now let's get started, she laughed as she clapped her hands together. Time to work some necromancy. She conjured up shadows as she gripped her scepter, and a large pentagram appeared on the floor. The floor broke apart as many souls were wailing from the underworld. The skies opened up as well as Hiruzen could see a blinding white light. I call to you from the land you were torn, return to the world from where you were born. Arise Hashirama Senju and Mito Uzumaki. The office shook as the Hokage and the Sannin held on to something and tried to shield Naruto from the ritual and its horrors. The graves of Hashirama and Mito exploded as the ritual took full effect and conjured up their souls. When the light died down, there they stood. Hashirama and Mito Senju Uzumaki in their youth. Huh, what's going on? Hashirama asked frantically. How are we back in Mito? He said, looking at his wife. You're young again. Mito looked herself over and looked into a nearby mirror and noticed her youthful appearance. She then looked back at her husband. So have you. But I don't understand, why are we back in the land of the living and in our youth? It's because of the Shinigami, Hiruzen said as they looked at him. Hiruzen, you're still the Hokage. Hashirama chuckled. Unfortunately, he sighed, smoking his pipe. Anyway, to answer your question, like my student said, the Shinigami herself brought you back. But why? Mito asked. Because of this special baby here, he said as Orochimaru introduced them to Naruto. This is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze Senju, son of Minato Senju Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage, and Kushina Uzumaki. Kushina. Well, so they finally tied the knot, Mito chuckled. Where are they? Well, that's the reason you were resurrected. You might want to sit down for this. Hiruzen said, motioning them to take a seat. They took their seat as Hiruzen explained the entire situation to them, from the Kyuubi attack to Minato and Kushina abandoning their youngest son so they could train their eldest child to control the Kyuubi's chakra. Upon finishing the story, Hiruzen got the response he was looking for. Hashirama was angry, no scratch, that pissed off at the disgraceful act committed by his great-grandson and granddaughter. But his anger wasn't even close to the rage Mito Senju was now radiating. Mito felt betrayed that Kushina would betray her teachings on family and what it meant to be an Uzumaki. To abandon one's own child was a sin to the Uzumaki clan, and those who committed this were greatly punished for it. Where are they now? Mito seethed. They are at the capital and won't be back till Naruto turns 13 years old. The snake replied. I see, she said coldly. May I hold him? She asked softly. Orochimaru nodded and placed Naruto in her arms. Mito and Hashirama could see many of the Senju and Uzumaki blood traits in him. From the Uzumaki red hair to the Senju chakra reserve and body structure. He was most certainly a powerful child, but what caught them off guard was the white chakra he had. Being a censor, Mito could see that he was going to be a powerful shinobi in the future. The Shinigami wants you to raise him as your own. Hiruzen said. Will you do it? Well, it's been a long time since we raised kids. I wouldn't mind raising one more, Mito smiled. I agree, Hashirama added. Perfect, Shinigami smiled, making everyone looking at her. I've already switched Minato and Kushina's DNA with yours and Mito's. Congrats, he's now biologically yours. Now if you'll excuse me, I got some souls to torture and lots of paperwork to do. She then vanished through the floor. Well, let me be the first to welcome you back, Sensei, Hiruzen smiled. And to take back the Hokage seat so I can retire. Hashirama chuckled as he agreed to take the seat back after he gets settled in with his wife and new son. Hiruzen got out the paperwork and filled it out. Mito and Hashirama renamed their son as Naruto Madara Uzumaki Senju, in honor of their old friend Madara Uchiha. After signing the documents, Hiruzen gave Hashirama the keys to the Senju compound. The Senju couple vanished from the office and took Naruto to his new home. The life of Naruto Senju begins. Hashirama and Mito arrived at the old Senju compound. It was just like they remembered it, a large complex with a main house, large gardens, training grounds, and beautiful forests. It brought back so many memories from the day Konohagakure was formed to the day they died. Looks like we're going to make new memories, Mito chuckled. Hashirama chuckled, kissing his wife's forehead. Let's get settled in. Heading into the compound, They reached the main house, which was a 4-story tall mansion with many rooms. It had a side building attached, which the Senju clan dojo, where future Senjus were trained before they attended the academy. Going inside the main hall was as grand as the architecture. The Senju compound was an ancient cultural building since the Great Wars. Though it's gone through many renovations over the years, it was still a sight to behold. They entered the living room, which was small with couches and other pieces of furniture. They could take in the fresh new scents as Hashirama sat down in his favorite armchair that was still there after all these years. Mito darling, why don't you take Naruto up to his new bedroom? I'm sure the nursery is still there. Hashirama asked, leaning back into his chair. Ooh Hashi, you always were a little lazy at home, but you were a fantastic husband, Mito chuckled, taking Naruto upstairs. Mito headed upstairs as she came to the nursery where her grandchildren Tsunade and Nawaki used to play and sleep when they were babies. She quickly lost her smile when she thought of Tsunade, who abandoned her youngest grandchild for her eldest one. She headed inside as the walls were painted to look like the forest. There were many child toys that she might have to replace with new and safer ones. She came to the crib that looked brand new. She guessed it must have been Minato's old crib. She looked down at her new child and smiled as the baby was sound asleep in her arms. Ooh Naruto, you're going to love it here. Your father and I will make sure you grow up loved and strong. After all, we Uzumakis stick together and we always put family first. Naruto yawned as Mito placed him in his crib and placed the blanket over him. She gave him a kiss on his forehead and smiled down at him. She then hummed a little tune as she began to sing him a lullaby. Luli, 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 Lile Luli, Luli, Luli Lile. Lay down your head and I'll sing you a lullaby. Back to the years of Luli Lile. And I'll sing you to sleep and I'll sing you tomorrow. Bless you with love for the road that you go. May you sail far to the far fields of fortune. With diamonds and pearls at your head and your feet. And may you need never to banish misfortune. May you find kindness in all that you meet. May there always be angels to watch over you. To guide you each step of the way. To guard you and keep you safe from all harm. Luli, Luli, Lile. May you bring love and may you bring happiness. Be loved in return to the end of your days. Now fall off to sleep. I'm not meaning to keep you. I'll just sit for a while and sing Luli, Lile. May there always be angels to watch over you. To guide you each step of the way. To guard you and keep you safe from all harm. Luli, Luli, Lile. Luli, Luli, Lile. Luli, 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 Lile. Luli, Luli, Luli Lile. Luli, Luli, Luli Lile. Luli, Luli, Luli Lile. Luli, Lile. She smiled as Naruto snored quietly as he looked so serene when he's fast asleep. Mito leaned down gently to kiss his forehead again. I love you, my son, she whispered before leaving the nursery to join her husband in the living room. How is Naruto? Hashirama asked Mito. Naruto is sleeping soundly, my dear. Mito smiled. Wonderful. Now that we've gotten settled in, it's time for me to greet Hiruzen to discuss the future of the village. According to the details supplied to him by his old student after they were resurrected, the civilian council had gotten out of hand. They meddled in the affairs of the shinobi which they had no say in. He should have listened to his brother and not given the civilian council some much leeway. Well, that all stops now. Will you accompany me, dear? Of course, Hashirama, just let me do one thing, Mito said, creating a blood clone. You stay here and guard Naruto, she ordered her clone. Of course, the clone replied. Hashirama took her hand as he shushined them to the Hokage's office. Kanahagakure Village Market District. Since the attack of the Kyuubi yesterday, many of the shinobi and civilians that suffered the traumatic experience of the attack were slowly trying to move forward. They suffered many casualties and losses, including loved ones. Reconstruction of the village was underway as the reparations of the northern and eastern district sector of the village that suffered the most damage was almost complete. Everyone moved on and licked the wounds except for a few. Among those few was Kakashi Hatake, Minato's only surviving student. Kakashi Hatake, the copycat ninja who copied over 1,000 jutsus, a man who many called a hardcore strong-hearted ninja, was now drinking his anger in sake at the local bar. The man couldn't let go of the hate he felt when he discovered that his own sensei Minato Namikaze was abandoning his youngest son for his Jinchuriki child. Not only that, but Kushina, who always spoke proudly on how family is important and always sticks together, would suddenly abandon her child for a prophecy. I mean, she's an Uzumaki, for crying out loud. It made him sick to his stomach, and don't even get him started on the Sannin. But he was happy that Orochimaru didn't go with them. At least the snake had brains and a heart. Hatake-san, the bartender asked. Don't you think you had enough? I'll tell when I have enough, Kakashi ranted. Another one. The bartender immediately refilled his glass as Kakashi gouged it down in a single gulp. Kakashi's friends watched him in disappointment but sorrow. They knew that Kakashi took Minato's leaving and abandonment of his son hard. After all, Kakashi looked up to and admired his sensei, but now he wouldn't even speak of him. Hokage Tower. Hokage's office. In the Hokage's tower, Hiruzen was stuck doing what all Kage fear the most: paperwork. That's right, paperwork, a Kage's worst nightmare. After the attack, he's gone through pile after pile after pile. Curse you, Minato, you leave the village but you don't give me the secret to defeat paperwork, he groaned as he scanned through the papers. Many of the papers were from the civilian council that demanded lots of money to repair their homes and businesses that were destroyed in the attack. Hiruzen sighed as he leaned back into his chair and smoked his pipe. The civilian council had been a pain in ever since he took the mantle of Hokage. He still couldn't believe his sensei Hashirama gave them a say in shinobi affairs, which was a mistake as the civilians grew arrogant and began to abuse their authority. But he hoped when Hashirama retakes the mantle he will be able to set things straight. I'm getting too old for this, the professor said, smoking his pipe as he went over the reports of the damage. Bear, he yelled. Bear masked Anbu knelt before him. Hi Sandame-sama, the Anbu stated. Give me the full situation report, the number of casualties of both civilians and shinobi. Hiruzen ordered. Hokage-sama, shinobi casualties have estimated to 1,000 shinobi along with 150 Anbu dead, and the number is still rising. We haven't cleared all of the debris of the northern and eastern sectors, so we aren't really sure. However, the civilian casualties have reached to 1,500 dead and many in critical condition. Bear finished. Very well, thank you for the report, Bear. You are dismissed. Leave the report here on my desk and return to your duties. Hiruzen commanded. With your leave, Hokage-sama, said Bear as he flickered away. Arg. Just when I'm finally ready to retire, Kami herself decides to fuck it up, and now I have to deal with more paperwork, he groaned as rubbed his temples. Why does Kami hates me? After 10 minutes, Hiruzen had finally finished up the remaining paperwork that was the death of him for years. He was glad to finally be rid of it. The only thing left to do now was to make his sensei the new Hokage and finally retire to live out the remainder of his years as he wants. He got up from his seat and cleaned off his desk, and started to smoke his pipe when Hashirama appeared. Still smoking, Hiruzen? Those things can kill you, you know, Hashirama chuckled. When you're as old as I am, sensei, you realize that sometimes a smoke can make any stressful day a relief. He sighed, taking a puff. So I take it you're ready to retire for the day? Hashirama asked him. Yes, sensei, he groaned. Now I can finally retire. Lord Third took off his hat and robes and presented them to Hashirama. Lord First took them with great pride, like he did over 100 years ago. Placing the robes on, he straightened and tightened the knots. He then placed the hat atop his head as Hiruzen welcomed him back as the Hokage. Mito also congratulated her husband. A knock at the door as an Anbu spoke from outside the office. Lord Third, the council has requested your presence, the Anbu dear said. Tell them I'll be right there, Hiruzen replied, waiting till the Anbu left. Well, sensei, it's time to reveal your existence to the council. Indeed, it's also time for the village to go through drastic changes. Hashirama stated coldly. Lord Third and Lady Mito nodded as they left the office and followed Hashirama to the council chambers to discuss the future of the leaf and to knock some people down a peg. Council chambers. Hiruzen and company stood before the door that led to the council meeting. Lord Third had been notified that everyone else had already arrived. But as he stood before it, he couldn't help but feel a slight unsettled, as if something big was going to conspire. Boy oh boy, was he in for a surprise. He could already hear soft chatter and discussions going on. Praying to the gods that were listening, he pushed open the door and swept into the room. Lord Third took his seat at the head of the table and then surveyed the council. The council was split into three parts: the Shinobi Council, which consisted of the clan heads of the Hyuga, Aburame, Inuzuka, Akamichi, Nara, Kurama, Uchiha, Saratobi, and the Nara clan minus the Senju, Uzumaki, and Namikaze seats that were still empty. But not for long. The Civilian Council that handles civilian and financial affairs like stocks and trades, and finally the Elder Council, which consisted of the Hokage's advisors Homura, Kaharu, and the old war hawk Danzo. Order! I call this meeting to order, shouted Hiruzen. Hokage-sama, where is Minato? Hiashi asked. Shouldn't he be here? Following his battle with the Kyuubi, Minato managed to defeat the beast with a SS rank fuinjutsu called the Shiki Fujin. With it he was able to summon the goddess of death herself and had sealed the Ninetales away into his children Menma and Naruto, the Hokage explained. Menma holds the fox's chakra while Naruto contains the soul. The Civilian Council immediately called for the death of the youngest Namikaze, for they believed he was the Ninetales in human form. Hashirama and Mito, who were outside of the chambers, were furious but kept their cool. They didn't want to give themselves away just yet. Silence! Hiruzen shouted. Hokage-sama, we must kill the demon. A civilian shouted. We must kill it while it's still weak in human form. I'll show you a demon, Hashirama whispered, getting his kunai ready till Mito stopped him. Mito gave Hashirama a look that said, don't act rashly, wait for the right moment. Hashirama groaned before putting away his kunai. Naruto is what keeps the demon from escaping and killing us all. Hiruzen shouted to the fat merchant civilian. Homura cleared his throat. May I suggest that handing the Jinchuriki over to the council, we can train them to control the power of the tailed beast. I will train them to be strong and loyal ninjas of the leaf. Hiruzen groaned. The answer is no. Besides, Minato and Kushina left for the fire capital. Unfortunately, they decided to only take Menma and left Naruto behind. What? The clan heads screamed. Good, maybe they will train their son to kill the demon with the very power that they stripped from him. Another civilian shouted. Enough! Mebuki Haruno screeched. This boy Naruto is as much a victim as we are. Everyone was shocked that Mebuki Haruno, the head of the Civilian Council, would defend the boy. Hiruzen was most shocked since her husband Seiko Haruno was a demon hater and was killed in the Kyuubi attack. Mebuki Haruno, how could you defend the demon who killed your husband? A wealthy civilian asked. I'm not defending the demon, I'm defending the boy who imprisoned it, she harshly replied. Why would Minato, especially Kushina, leave their youngest pup and take their other pup with them? It doesn't make sense, Sume said coldly. I never thought my teammate could do such a thing, Hiashi shouted. Such a drag, but I have to agree with them, Hokage-sama. It sounds to me that Minato preferred the kid with the fox's chakra, am I right? Shikaku asked lazily. Leave it to Inara to figure things out quickly. Hiruzen's sweat dropped. You hit the nail on the head, Shikaku. Kushina stated that Menma needed to control the Kyuubi's chakra and that Naruto just wasn't that important. The Shinobi Council was in an uproar at the complete disregard that their once beloved Yondaime and Red Hot Halbareno had towards their youngest son. Questions were soon asked about what will happen to the boy. Many of the clans offered to take him in. The first one to volunteer was Fugaku, who secretly wanted a weapon to increase the power of the clan. Next was Hiashi, who was ashamed of his former best friend and thought taking the boy in not for Minato or Kushina but to give the boy a caring, loving home. Sume wanted to take care of the child as she can relate to him since she herself comes from a clan that was once feared and demonized due to their wolf-like features and powerful techniques. Sume also was ashamed her blood sister Kushina would abandon one pup for the more powerful one. She thought the Red Head was an Uzumaki, a clan that was known to put family above all else, but clearly she was wrong. The Shika Cho Ino trio couldn't take care of the child since they have their hands full with kids of their own, plus with the fact that Nara men would complain as always, and clearly they didn't want Naruto to be lazy. The Yamanaka were out of the question since Yamanaka males were always busy with barely enough time to spend with their kids, leaving it to their wives, and Naruto needs to have a father that dedicates their lives to both their jobs and their kids equally. Finally, the Akamichis tend to overfeed their kids, and I don't think they would want a fat Naruto. The Aburame was clearly out of the question since who would want bugs living in their bodies? Hiruzen sighed as he silenced them with a small amount of ki. Now that I have your attention, I understand that you all wish to take care of the boy. Unfortunately, that won't be happening. You see, the Shinigami who sealed the Kyuubi away left us a little present. Koharu spoke up first. Hiruzen, what are you talking about? I'll let our guests explain. Hiruzen smiled as he motioned the couple inside. The council gasped as silence filled the room. Everyone could only stare and not even say a word. There standing before them was the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju and Mito Uzumaki. The shinobi clan heads stood in awe and respect of one of the village's founders. However, the advisors were not convinced and believed it to be a trick. Hiruzen, what trickery is this? You dare defile our sensei memory by using the Edo Tensei to bring him back to the land of the living. Koharu shouted. Silence your mouth, insolent pups. Hashirama shouted. This is not my brother's jutsu. The Shinigami has brought my wife and I back to the land of the living. Why would the goddess of death bring you back? Shikaku Nara asked. Unless there was a good reason. Mito was the one who spoke up to answer the Nara. Yes, Lord Nara, you see, the Shinigami is angered for Minato breaking his promise to her. After Minato abandoned Naruto here without a second thought, it was decided that we would return to the mortal plane and raise Naruto as our own. What? Everyone shouted. Indeed, the Shinigami replaced Naruto's blood and DNA with my own and my wife's. Naruto is biologically ours now, and we shall thrive where Minato had failed. I will also retake the mantle of Hokage. After all, I think we all agree it's time for Hiruzen to step down so he can enjoy his golden years. That is true, Sensei. Hiruzen agreed until he let out a huge smile. This is a grand occasion. Now Lord First can keep the demon in check and keep it weak. A civilian cheered. The demon will be bowing at our feet. The civilian's rejoicing was cut short when a spike of wood sprang from the floor and pierced through the man's neck, killing him. Hokage-sama, a civilian council member shouted. The next person who calls my son a demon, their lives are next, Hashirama screamed angrily. Now, since I'm Naruto's father and the eldest Senju male, then by clan law I'm the clan head, and my wife shall be the Uzumaki clan head since she's the eldest Uzumaki, considering Kushina broke her vow to the clan and hasn't been active in her duties as clan head. My husband is right and you all know it too, plus Minato never took the mantle of Senju clan head since he's the Namikaze clan head, so therefore by the law the clan head position is passed to the eldest Senju, Mito stated. Well, Sensei, since you're going to retake the mantle of Hokage, which is a wonderful. Let me be the first to welcome you back. This will keep our enemies off our back and we will be able to rebuild a bit faster, said Danzo, getting a nod from Hashirama. If there is nothing else to discuss, then I hereby dismiss this meeting. Hiruzen stated. Wait, Koharu said quickly. What shall we tell the village? Nothing. Danzo shouted, making everyone looking at him. The village has started rebuilding itself, and the people are trying to get over their grief. If you announce Naruto's status, he will become a target, an outlet for their rage and hatred for the fox. Danzo, Hiruzen said surprisingly. This is a side of you I've never seen. I may be a cold shinobi, Hiruzen, but I'm not heartless. Danzo said sternly. Therefore I ask that we keep Naruto's status a SSS rank secret so that the boy can at least have a normal life. The civilian council minus Mebuki went into an uproar again. They refused to doing anything that would protect the demon. Danzo silenced them with a threat of execution if even one of them reveals the boy's status to anyone. This silenced them completely as they sank down into their seats. The first Hokage could only smile at how mature Danzo has gotten since his genin days. One more thing before I dismiss this meeting, the civilian council is hereby disbanded. I will discuss it with Mebuki Haruno after everyone leaves. The civilians wanted to retort, but a single glare from Mito kept them quiet. They didn't take their defeat well though, they swore to do everything they could to make the demon pay. When no one had anything else to talk about, Lord first dismissed the council. Mebuki stayed behind as ordered as she gave a list of civilians that she knew wouldn't blame Naruto for something he couldn't control. Hashirama thanked her as she bowed her head and left the chambers. Well, I better get back to Naruto, it's time for his feeding. Mito smiled as she shushined to the Senju compound. Looks like we better go over the village rules and make some changes, it's time the village had a wake-up call, Hashirama told Hiruzen. Hiruzen nodded. Yes, I agree, sensei, this will undo everything the previous civilian council had done. Hashirama and Hiruzen spent the afternoon going over the old and new laws that were made after Hashirama's death. Hiruzen was right about one thing, the village hidden in the leaves was in for a huge wake-up call. It's been a few months since the Kyuubi incident and the village had already managed to rebuild itself in record time. The memories, however, of that horrible night were still embedded in their PYCHS. Their former Hokage, Hiruzen, put their fears to rest with words of encouragement that the leaf will never fall. Many believed it, but some have not. Hiruzen had also revealed to the village of the gift Kami blessed them with, he revealed the return of the first Hokage Hashirama Senju. The village was in complete shock when the legendary god of shinobi made his presence known to them atop the Hokage tower. Hashirama, with words of wisdom from his days as Hokage and his speech of the will of fire, gave rise to strengthen the hope of the people. The village cheered out his name as Hashirama retook the hat and robes from Hiruzen. After taking the robes, Hashirama, who nodded to his student, turned to address the village and revealed that Minato left the village after the Nine Tails attack was over. Horror filled the audience as he told them how he just left the village to train his son Menma to control the Kyuubi's chakra while leaving the village to rebuild without its leader. Anger and harsh words spread as the villagers demanded the return of the Yondaime for his desertion. Hashirama put them to rest and promised them that Minato will pay for his crimes. Kakashi approached the Shadaime and asked if they could be allowed one piece of revenge, no matter how small. You're Kakashi Hatake, Minato's prized student, what do you have in mind? Hashirama asked. Kakashi Hatake walked past him and stood before the Hokage mountain and pointed to Minato's stone face. Minato deserted us, he abandoned his child because of a prophecy, he left us when we were still rebuilding. He believed a prophecy was more important than taking care of our village, Kakashi scoffed. Kakashi, thought Kurenai and Might Guy. I suggest we take the stone face down. Kakashi said, shocking everyone. If Minato believed we were not good enough because of a prophecy, then he doesn't deserve to be Hokage. Hashirama looked at Hiruzen. Hiruzen, Kakashi has a point. You once said, those who desert their comrades are trash, but those who desert the village are unforgivable. Minato chose to leave after the village was rebuilding itself. He made his choice. You have a point, Hashirama said before looking at the village. Do as you see fit. The villagers cheered as chains were thrown and hooked into the stone face. The villagers grunted as they started to pull on the chains. The weight from the stone was strong, but their anger was stronger. Arg! They shouted as the stone in the mountain started to crack and slowly break. Chidori. Kakashi said. He plunged his lightning blade through the Hokage's stone head forehead. The strain from the chains and the Chidori was too much as the stone broke apart as the villagers pulled one final time. The stone face broke from the mountain as it came crashing down. The stone face hit the ground as it broke apart upon impact as the villagers cheered. Hashirama was shocked but proud of the villagers' dedication and loyalty to the village. The following afternoon the village was being rebuilt with the thousands upon thousands of fresh wood Hashirama gave them with his Mokuden. The money that the Senju and Uzumaki clan had were then shared among the people to help them get back to their lives. 20% of their clan's fortunes were given to rebuild the village itself, while another 10% were given to the civilians for their stores, businesses, and homes that were destroyed. The village's reconstruction was going perfectly with the supplies Lord Shadaim had given them. Meanwhile, back in his office, Hashirama was going through the paperwork, a Hokage's nightmare. But Hashirama chuckled as he knew the secret to defeat paperwork, and that was shadow clones. His assistant Mebuki Haruno was helping with the minor things in the village, such as financial and other small problems. She was a great help to him. Hokage-sama, his secretary, a middle-aged woman, said, entering his office. Rava, what can I do for you? Pardon the interruption, Lord Hashirama, a letter arrived for you, sir. She said, handing him the letter. When he took it, he saw on the back the Namikaze clan symbol. It was from Minato and Kushina. Gripping the letter in his hands, he tried to keep his anger in check before taking a deep breath. Thank you, Rava, that will be all. Hi, she said, leaving the office. Hashirama growled softly, still glaring at the letter. Should he open it, or should he just cast it away like Minato cast away Naruto? Mebuki noticed how stressed the Hokage was and wondered if it had something to do with the letter. Approaching him, she asked if he was alright. Yes, Mebuki-san, I'm fine. Are you sure, Lord Hokage? You seemed really stressed. No, it's nothing, I'm okay. Very well, if you sure, she said before going back to her duties. Sighing in relief, Hashirama slowly began to open the envelope. He decided he should at least read what Minato had to say, no matter how bad the excuses he would make be. Taking out the paper, he unfolded the letter and began to read. Dear Hiruzen, Kushina and I have made it to the fire capital safely. We have settled in just fine in the royal district of the capital. It feels good to be back home where my ancestors lived. I'm looking forward to teaching Menma about his ancestors and all the techniques of the clan. Kushina been going on about how Menma will take after her clan more than mine. But enough about that. How's Naruto doing? We haven't received any letter from you since we arrived. I can only guess you're still angry at us for leaving Naruto behind. But like I said, Hiruzen, we need to train Menma to control the chakra, and having the boys together would allow the soul to regain its stolen chakra. It's best they grow apart so they will both be safe. Trust me, Hiruzen, this is for the best, you'll see. But putting that aside, how is my son? Is he being spoiled by the villagers due to his new hero status? Oh, Kushina wanted to write to you as well. Hiruzen, this is Kushina, still upset about my choice, I see. See reason for once, old man, I'm doing this for both of my boys. I love them both, and having Naruto here will just endanger him if the soul is anywhere near its chakra. You can hate me all you want, old man, but I will not risk both my children's lives if the Kyuubi regains its chakra. I hope you raised Naruto with good morals, because I won't have him becoming a spoiled brat when we come to reclaim him. I hope you didn't make Naruto believe we abandoned him for his brother, because if you did, Hiruzen, you're going to be a very sorry old man. Also, I don't want Orochimaru influencing my baby with his newfound hatred for me and my husband. The prophecy is very important, and Naruto will be trained when we come to claim him to support his brother. Menma will become the next head of the Senju and Uzumaki clans, and Naruto at best will be a branch member. Naruto will be trained in minor ninjutsu and mostly taijutsu as a support ninja, and will help his brother fulfill the prophecy. You'll see, Hiruzen, it will all work out for everyone. Jiraiya will be coming in a few days to check up on Naruto for us. Yours sincerely, Minato and Kushina Namikaze. After finishing the letter, a storm of emotions raged within the first Hokage. Hashirama was infuriated that the Yondaime and his wife felt so little for their son. They believed him to be a weak support ninja to aid his elder brother in fulfilling a prophecy which, he might add, isn't even set in stone. After all, prophecies constantly change, and in Hashirama's opinion, prophecies don't foretell a person's fate. to him a shinobi makes his or her own fate. He then tore up the letter in anger and tossed its scraps in the garbage. He then grabbed a piece of paper and a pen and began to write his own reply. He put every amount of emotion into his response and then had it sealed. "Mebuki," he shouted. "Yes, sir," she replied. "Take this letter and give it to the Postal Ninja Division. I want this letter sent to the Yondaime Hokage in the fire capital immediately," he said coldly. Mebuki, feeling the coldness emitting from him, nodded and rushed out of the office to have the letter delivered. After she left, Hashirama vanished from his seat after finishing all of his paperwork. Uzumaki Senju Compound. Hokage's monument. Mito Uzumaki was in the kitchen dressed in a long light green dress skirt and a blue t-shirt that tightened against her chest, showing some cleavage. She wore a pink apron that says, "Insult my cooking, I'll kill you," on it as she hummed a little tune, getting lunch ready for her family. She was cooking some delicious miso ramen with a side of bread and vegetables. She wanted her kids to be healthy and well nourished. "Mito-san," and voice rang out. "Oh, Itachi." Mito smiled, turning around to look at the Uchiha. Itachi was helping her out with Naruto for the day, as the Uchiha heir had taken care of her son while she was doing the house chores and working at the hospital. Itachi walked towards her carrying Naruto in his arms. Naruto Uzumaki Senju, the pride of the clans, he was a beautiful clone of his parents. His baby fat skin trimmed to a soft pale tan that resembled his mother's. His hair was blood red like his mother, and his eyes were a dark brown like his daddy. He was a mini male version of Mito. He was the shining light in not only her life, but also the village's. "Is Hashirama coming home soon?" Itachi asked. "Yes, he will be home soon," Mito replied. "I thank you again, Itachi, for helping me these past few days." "Glad to help, Mito-sama. I think I might become Naruto's favorite babysitter." Mito got the lunch ready when her husband entered the room with a smile on his face. He greeted his wife with a kiss on the cheek as he smelled the ramen that was cooking. He also noticed her famous dumplings that she always made. He tried sneaking his hand over to grab one, only for a ladle to smack his hand. He yelped, rubbing his hand as his wife gave him a stern but happy smile. Hashirama, we don't eat dumplings till after lunchtime," she said, smiling. Hashirama grumbled, "Troublesome wife, so mean. Not even one?" he asked. "No, Hashirama, no snacks before lunch," Mito yelled. Hashirama sulked in his seat as Mito sighed with a smile. "You're hopeless," Mito chuckled. "Uzumaki women are so mean," he grumbled. "I heard that," Mito smirked. Hashirama sighed with a small laugh. "Well, how's my favorite family?" "We are doing fine," said Mito. "Itachi was a good help as well." "Ooh yes, Itachi Uchiha, a prodigy similar to Madara. I heard you completed your mission in record time yesterday," Hashirama praised. "Well, when I reached the border, my team were greeted with hostility from Iowa. Apparently they heard about you coming back from someone from the Leaf and attacked us. Luckily we killed about 200 out of 250 Iowa ninja thanks to my Sharingan and Kakashi's Chidori." Hashirama sighed as let out a groan at the info. Conflict no matter what the era. "After lunch, Hashirama, we are going to the festival," Mito reminded him. "Now let's sit down and eat. I don't want all of my hard work on this meal spoiled, okay?" "Hi," he said as everyone began to eat. "Ooh, Itachi, care to join us?" "Ooh, thank you, Lord Hokage." After the delicious lunch and all the dishes were clean thanks to Itachi and his shadow clones. Soon Itachi left to greet his family while Mito and Hashirama getting dressed to get ready for the Spirit Festival to honor the shinobi who lost their lives for the village. Hashirama dressed himself in a black kimono with red satin, while Mito dressed in royal kimono with white satin tied around the waist. She wore her gold headpiece as two sealing tags hung from the buns in hair. Naruto was dressed in baby clothes, well dressed like a little fox. "Alright, let's get going. The festival won't start without us present," Hashirama smiled. They left the compound and met with their fellow friends that awaited them at the complex gates. They bowed their heads to their clan heads as they greeted them. The entire family soon left to join in the festivities. Kanahagakure Central Sector. The festival was in full swing as the village square was decorated with lots of lights, lanterns, and lots of masks. Lots of food was prepared and the game stands were put up for the children. The people dressed in appropriate clothing for the celebration. Hashirama and his family arrived as the people greeted them with warm smiles and good greetings. "Welcome Hokage-sama," a civilian said. "My lord and lady," an elderly woman stated, bowing her head. The Hokage smiled. "Hello my friends, I trust things are well," he asked, getting a nod from the festival committee, which made up of 130 civilians, and 300 shinobi and retired shinobi. A young woman walked up to the family presenting him with a plate of fresh dango which he accepted. It was so delicious as he gave her a thumbs up on it, making her happy. "Lord Hashirama," a voice rang out. The family smiled as they noticed it was Makoto Uchiha and her family. Fugaku greeted them with a firm nod which they returned. The Uchiha clan head and Hashirama weren't friends but remained civil each other. Fugaku was still all about having Naruto as a weapon, but after fighting Mito Uzumaki, who gave him such a tongue lashing, she gave him such a beating, Fugaku turned over a new leaf, although he was still the cold clan head we all know and love. Makoto greeted the family as she gave them each a hug, including the little red head who always brought a smile to her family. She was the friend of the family, but to Naruto Makoto was more like an aunt or second mother figure. Ever since she found out about Kushina abandoning Naruto like he was nothing, she lost all respect for the redhead. In fact, the day after she found out what Kushina did, she burned and ripped up every picture that she had of them together. She even threw away all the gifts that Kushina bought her over the years they were friends. She never wanted anything to do with her and soon found a new friend in Mito. "Makoto, good to see you," Mito said as she presented the rose to her. Makoto smiled as she knelt down and took the rose. "Ah, thank you, I love it." She sniffed the rose before she put it in her hair. "You look lovely, Ka-san, that rose brings out your beauty," Itachi laughed. "Naruto picked out the rose for you," Mito chuckled. Makoto laughed as she rubbed his head. "Ooh, thank you, Naruto." Hashirama smiled. "How are you doing, Lady Makoto, Lord Fugaku?" "I thought Uchihas don't like happy bright festivals or parties," he joked, getting a bonk on the head by his wife. "Forgive my husband, he tends to make jokes at the worst times," Mito laughed. The Uchiha and the Uzumaki Senju families met up with their fellow clans while their children set out to meet with their friends and play lots of games. Soon Hiruzen and his wife had met up with Hashirama. He greeted the couple with a bow of respect which the couple had returned. "Welcome Lord Hiruzen and Lady Bawako, it is good to see you," the Hokage said. "The honor is ours, Lord Hashirama," Bawako said respectfully. "I trust you are looking forward to the festival with your family," Hiruzen laughed while enjoying a glass of sake. Mito nodded. "Yes indeed, thank you. Enough chatter, we have a festival to enjoy," Hashirama said as everyone headed to join their friends in the festivities. Fire Capital. Namikaze Compound. Kushina had placed Menma to bed as she had headed downstairs to have some tea with Minato and the others. After the stressful afternoon she had taken care of her bundle of joy. Menma was exactly like her when she was a baby. She was greeted by Tsunade, who made her favorite tea, the sweet scent of jasmine tea. She took notice of Minato and Jiraiya, who were covered in scratches and slight bruises, meaning they were out training. "Oh well, boys will be boys. Here you are, Kushina." Tsunade smiled, setting the tea in front of her. "Thank you, Tsunade-sensei." Kushina smiled, taking a seat and taking a sip from her tea. "Sounds like you had quite the afternoon with Menma." Tsunade laughed. "Yeah, he was a handful, but I can handle it. He's more like me every day." "Yeah, I remember all the sleepless nights I had," Minato joked. "That's why I'm the mother, darling. I'm the more mature parent." Kushina smirked. "Hey, speaking of babies, have you heard from Sarutobi-sensei?" Jiraiya asked. "No, sensei." Minato sighed, shaking his head. "I believe he's still holding a grudge against us." The group groaned. Hiruzen was still being a sourpuss about them leaving. He just couldn't understand the situation and how important the prophecy. They haven't heard from him in a few months and they haven't received any updates on Naruto either. Tsunade betted it was Orochimaru that prevented any letters from reaching them. Minato, I have a strange feeling that Naruto might come to hate us, Kushina cried. Minato placed his arm around his wife's shoulder to comfort her. It's alright darling, if he does hate us then we will do everything in our power to get him to forgive us. Trust me, I am sure that our son will not hate us. Minato is right, Kushina. Once we explain the situation then Naruto will understand. Besides, he's probably enjoying his life as the hero who kept the village safe from the Nine Tails. Jiraiya stated firmly and jokingly. Suddenly there was a raven upon their window sill with a scroll attached to its leg. It was an Uchiha raven due to the Sharingan eyes. It was used by the Hokage to send private messages. Everyone wondered why Hiruzen would send them a letter now of all times since he didn't want anything to do with them. Kushina placed her hand on his shoulder to calm him. Minato took all deep breath as he unrolled the scroll and began to read. Dear Minato and Kushina, you got some nerve to think so little about your son. Naruto is more than just a support ninja. Naruto is an innocent soul and I won't tolerate you tainting that light. Also, I'm not Hiruzen, I'm the new Hokage who replaced your Sari. I've also placed Naruto under mine and my wife's care. We will take care of him since you're too lazy to take care of both of your kids. And you Kushina, well, my wife is an Uzumaki and unlike you she knows what it means to be an Uzumaki. You Tsunade, I am ashamed of you, to think you'd sink this low, you disgust me, you better hope I don't get my hands on you. Naruto is no longer yours, he's my son now. I'll be the father you refused to be, Minato. See you in 13 years Yondaime, because believe me Minato, you won't be getting a warm welcome. Sincerely, not. The new Hokage. Silence filled the group at the information. First off, they were shocked that Hiruzen replaced Minato so quickly. To think the old man was angry enough to go that far to get back at them. Another thing that horrified them was that Naruto was adopted by the new Hokage and his wife who just happened to be an Uzumaki woman. Tsunade was pissed that the new Hokage would dare threaten her with bodily harm. New Hokage, if not she would make sure she pounded his face in. The bastard didn't even sign his name. That bastard Hiruzen, how dare he give away my son to someone else. We told him to leave Naruto in an orphanage so he would be safe. But now Naruto new parents are threatening us and keeping us from seeing him again. Kushina growled as her hair split into 9 strands. He's my baby. Naruto is my baby, only I can be his mother. No one can love him like I do. Minato on the other hand was confused with the threat the new Hokage made against him. Something about not getting a warm welcome when he comes back. Whatever this guy is, Hiruzen must have revealed the prophecy and their plan to the new Hokage. This was bad. The prophecy and Naruto's heritage was supposed to be a secret until they came back. Jiraiya was the same way. This whole plan they put together was to be kept secret, but now that Hiruzen had blabbed it to the new Hokage they would have to rethink of a solution to ensure everything they worked for wouldn't unravel. Sensei really is out to get us, Jiraiya sighed. To think he went this far. No joke. Tsunade growled, taking a gulp of her sake. I bet he made Orochimaru the new Hokage. That I agree with, Minato chuckled. Only he would use threats like this. I say we go back there and pound that snake into paste, Kushina snarled, flipping the table over. No Kushina, we got the prophecy to think about. We must make sure Menma is ready to defeat the great evil and bring peace to the nations. Minato reminded her. Kushina sighed. Fine, but I don't like it. But when we get back to the village, I get to be the first one to beat the snake. Of course, Kushi-chan, Minato smiled. Now let's just enjoy our lunch. Hashirama smiled as he watched his son cuddle up Shira in his arms and giggling happily as he chased her around, crawling and giggling. The tiger cub loved playing with the Senju heir. Mito was watching and loved how happy her son was. After a while she stood up, walking towards her little bundle of joy, and crouched down and opened her arms as she urged for him to come to her. Naruto immediately forgot all about the tiger cub and began to crawl happily to his mommy. She opened her arms again and he started crawling to her. She stepped back a few steps giggling as Naruto sat down puffing his cheeks making him look all the more adorable. Kakashi sat to the side as he watched the mother-son duo playing. He saw Lady Mito teasing the boy and laughed as he saw Naruto puffing his cheeks at her teasing. He saw that he never cried no matter how much she teased him, the most that she could get out of him was puffing of his cheeks. Opening her arms again and saw Naruto put his hands to the ground and stood up with shaking legs as he took a step towards her and her eyes widened. Hashirama smiled as he got to his feet and got out the camera as he saw Naruto take his first step. Mito's eyes watered as she saw him take his first step and she saw him take another and saw he was watching her sadly and was confused but urged for him to come to her. Come on Naru-chan, just a bit more. Come to Ka-chan, she said through a sob. Naruto took 5 steps and stumbled as she grabbed her in his arms before he fell down and saw him gazing at her curiously. He put his little hand on her cheek and wiped the tear away. Oh God Naru-chan, you walked so far on your first time. Oh my boy, I love you so much. She whispered and he snuggled in her arms making her smile. She gazed into his eyes that always drew her to him as she kissed him on the nose as he scrunched his face a bit and she giggled. Oh, you're Ka-chan's adorable little boy now, aren't you Naru-chan, aren't you? She cooed and kissed him as he giggled. Mama happy, Naruto cooed. Mito gasped. Ooh Naruto, you said your first word. Mommy love you. Mito squealed as she hugged him tightly. Ooh Naruto, I'm so proud of you. Ooh, I'm so proud. She cried. Hashirama sweat dropped. Geezer dramatic much Mito-chan. Shut up Hashirama. Mito shouted making her husband hold up his hands in defense. Oh you hurt me Haim. He laughed. Besides I got a little present for Naruto. Shizune helped me pick it out. He asked and pulled out a small wrapped bundle and handed it to her as she saw was a little 9-tailed fox pajamas with some stuffed animals. Ooh Naruto look, Mito said showing Naruto his presents. Naruto cooed and reached into the box and pulled out a big tiger plush. He giggled happily and cuddled it. Mito smiled as she picked him up and headed to the porch for a drink with her husband. They had hot chocolate and enjoyed the serene silence until an Anbu appeared. Lord Hashirama, Jiraiya was spotted outside of the main gate. He's demanding to see the Hokage and to check up on Naruto. Kakashi, come with me, Hashirama snarled standing up. It's time we greet Jiraiya, but I can't reveal myself yet so. Hashirama hanged into a young man in his late 20s with short brown hair and blue eyes. He wore a traditional black silk kimono with a white sash across his waist. Hi Hokage-sama, Kakashi said following him. Mito clutched her baby to her chest protectively as she growled at the mention of Jiraiya. There was no way that she was going to allow that toad sage anywhere near her baby. Konoha village gates. Jiraiya arrived at the village gates after a few days' walk from the fire capital. He was on orders of his student to find out the identity of the new Hokage who had taken Naruto from him and Kushina. The news of Naruto being given to another family put a huge dent into the prophecy. According to the Toads, a few days after living in the fire capital, the Toads foresaw an event that would turn the tide of the world. The Toad sage told them that if the chosen one loses their other half, he will fall into darkness. They believed that if Menma loses Naruto to another family, then Menma would lose his other half of himself and fall to darkness. But what he didn't know what was the prophecy actually meant Kagaya and Naruto, since Kagaya became half of Naruto. Reaching the village gates, he was greeted by the 2 Chunins. Halt, who goes there? Jiraiya of the Sannin, I have come to see the new Hokage and to check up on Naruto. Naruto-sama is fine Jiraiya. Naruto-sama, wow, the brat must really be enjoying his hero status, if this is how the village spoils him. I'll take it from here gentlemen, a voice called out. Jiraiya and the Chunin guards turned to see the Hokage dressed in his robes with Kakashi at his side. Lord Hokage, they saluted. At ease, Hashirama smiled. Hashirama took one look at Jiraiya and tried to keep his anger in check. He was face to face with the man who drove a wedge within the Namikaze family. The man who agreed that Naruto should be left behind so his more powerful brother would be trained to control the fox's chakra. So you're the new Hokage? Jiraiya asked bluntly. And you're the gallant mighty Jiraiya? Hashirama asked. I see you're in awe at my mighty reputation. Jiraiya boasted. You mean as a perverted hermit who peeks on women in bathhouses? And who writes that filthy smut, which I might add is insulting to women? Hashirama pointed out coldly. Jiraiya felt like a sword was ran through his heart. This man clearly didn't see the mighty shinobi that was the mighty Toad Sage. I'll have you know I'm the teacher of the fourth Hokage and the child of prophecy Menma Namikaze. The sage praised. You mean the bastard who abandoned our village when we were still weak after the Kyuubi attack? The Hokage shouted. Minato had urgent business to take care of and he left Hiruzen-sensei to take over until the business was finished. Jiraiya taking offense to the insult to his old student. The rebuildment of our village was supposed to be Minato's business. Hashirama snarled back. That blonde bastard was a coward. He fled instead of helping us in case another village attacks us. Minato saved your Sari from the Ninetales, something none of you could ever accomplish in your entire lives, Jiraiya retorted. Minato-sensei was a coward and then abandoned one of his children because of a prophecy told by you and the old Toad Sage. Kakashi spoke out in a cold tone making Jiraiya flinch. Jiraiya gasped. Kakashi, that's your sensei you're talking about, the man who took you in and raised like you were his own son. That man is no longer my sensei, Kakashi shouted. The day he abandoned his youngest son and the village was the day he abandoned me. Ooh, and the bastard can take this back. Kakashi tossed the three-pronged kunai Minato gave him for graduation to the ground in front of Jiraiya and stomped it into the dirt. Kakashi, Jiraiya said softly. Now what brings you back to the village? The Hokage asked. I have come here to check up on Naruto for Minato and Kushina. Jiraiya replied. I am the boy's godfather after all. You are not going anywhere near my son, you filthy toad. Hashirama hissed. Your son? Jiraiya asked. Oh, that's right, you're the one who adopted the boy. Well, duh, I made that clear in my letter, or is your eyesight as bad your luck with dating a woman? Hashirama seethed, burning Jiraiya. The Toad Sage couldn't believe that he just got burned by the Hokage's insult. That man had a lot of nerve to talk to the great Jiraiya that way. I don't care who you are, but no one speaks to one of the Sannin that way. As I can tell, you are a first-time Hokage and your chakra level says you're at least Jonin level. I'm a Sannin and on a whole different level. Your arrogance speaks for itself. Kakashi scoffed. Here's what's going to happen, you're going to turn around and go back to the fire capital. Then you'll go back to your old student and his wife and tell them that if any of them try anything against me and my wife or take away Naruto, I will ensure that they are dealt with the harshest punishment known to man, along with a special session with Ibiki and Anko when they have a bad day. After Ibiki and Anko are demons when they work on a bad day. Hashirama shouted with fury in his dark cold ice tone. Who do you think you are? Jiraiya shouted. The Chunin were going to attack before Hashirama stopped them and glared at the arrogant Toad Sage. Not wanting to reveal his true form or name just yet, he decided to give him a fake name to use. My name is Maru Senju, Hashirama lied. Senju, you're a Senju. Yes, I am. Why did you think the Senjus died out? Besides Tsunade and her family, yes, I did. Well, now you know, and now you can go, Jiraiya. Kakashi escorted him out. Hi, Lord Senju, Kakashi said before facing Jiraiya. Alright, you old toad, come on. Kakashi, you can't blame your sensei for what happened, Jiraiya pleaded. Please see reason. We all saw reason and we have renounced Minato as our Hokage. What? What nonsense are you talking about? Jiraiya demanded. Take a look at the Hokage monument, Kakashi said, pointing towards the mountain. Gazing to the Hokage's mountain, he gasped as he noticed that Minato's stone face wasn't there. What happened to his student's stone face on the Hokage's monument? What happened to Minato's face on the Hokage's mountain? Jiraiya stuttered. The villagers tore it down. What? Why would they do that? What did Minato do to deserve this? He abandoned us and his son in our weakened state. Kakashi hissed. Now I'll escort you to the fire capital, but after that you're on your own. Jiraiya wasn't given another second to speak as the two Chunins joined Kakashi in escorting him to the fire capital. Hashirama sighed as he wiped his forehead. Damn, that was close. It's times like this I wish Madara was still here. Hashirama groaned as he left to go to the office to deal with the council, mostly the civilians. Ever since Hashirama replaced the old civilian council, the former members were using some of their former. They still had to make demands to make things better for the civilian portion of the village. Plus Homura and Kaharu weren't making it any easier. Thankfully Danzo managed to keep his old teammates in line. As Hashirama walked down the street he passed Danzo. Make sure Jiraiya and his student don't plot anything behind my back. Have Root follow them, and if they prove a threat to my village or my son, kill them. Hashirama whispered. You don't even have to ask me twice, sensei, Danzo replied as the two men continued on their way. Back with Kakashi and the Chunins, they escorted Jiraiya as far as they were allowed. Jiraiya told him he can get to the Namikaze compound in the fire capital from where they were. They just nodded and turned to head home. This was bad, so very bad, not only for the prophecy but also for Minato and his family. Since the reveal of Minato's stone face torn off the mountain and the village's doubt about their greatest Hokage, he needed to talk to Minato and somehow win back the praise of the people. Without a second more he dashed off towards the capital. Namikaze clan compound. Minato and Kushina were in their clan training ground as Kushin was training with her sensei Tsunade. The two women were fighting using their clan's taijutsu styles, the Whirlpool Storm style and the Senju Spirit Tiger style. Arg! Yelled Tsunade as Kushina landed a good kick to her midsection. You're still as strong as always. Kushina smiled as he panted. Thanks, sensei. I can see that despite your old age you're still as strong and hardcore as always. Minato was watching them harness their skills as he was going over training regiments for his son Menma when he reaches the age of 4. However, his mind was drifting off towards his other son Naruto, the boy he left behind. Ever since he received that letter from the new Hokage, Minato had lost some of his confidence since losing his position of Hokage, and his youngest at the same time was a low blow to his pride. Now that Naruto was now legally with new parents, he won't be able to help Menma like he was destined to do. This put their plans in a rut. The plan was to come back and bring Naruto back into the family and then make him the head of the Namikaze side branch. It was similar to the Hyuga's side branch, but unlike them they don't have a cage bird seal. Suddenly a medium-sized toad dropped down in the training grounds as Jiraiya dropped down from the back of the toad. Minato jumped up and rushed to greet his sensei. Jiraiya-sensei, welcome back. How was your trip to Konoha? Did you speak with the new Hokage and got to check up on Naruto? Yes, I met the Hokage and I found that he's a Senju like yourself and Tsunade. Another Senju? Suan gasped. Are you sure? Yes, he might be lying, but Kakashi confirmed it by calling him Lord Senju. How is Kakashi doing? Minato asking about his student. Kakashi believed you abandoned the village and he hates you for it. What? Minato and Kushina shouted. Yeah, he wanted you to have this, Jiraiya said, giving Minato his 3-pronged kunai. Minato took the kunai in his shaking hands. His student hated him now. Was everyone he knew going to hate him now for trying to save the world from total destruction? Also, Minato, that's not the worst of it, Jiraiya sighed. What's the worst of it then, you old pervert? Suan asked. The villagers tore down Minato's stone face from the Hokage's monument. The group's expression was filled with shock, horror, sadness, and betrayal. The villagers that Minato saved from the 9 Tails tore down his stone face off the monument. That meant they renounced him. Minato felt betrayed by his own village. Kushina, on the other hand, was furious that the villagers would treat them like this after they saved them from the Kyuubi. Tsunade didn't know what to think, but she strongly believed Orochimaru had a hand in this. Who bets it was Orochimaru who convinced them to tear down Minato's face? Tsunade seethed. I do, Kushina hissed. I am beginning to believe it as well. Since Orochimaru hated me ever since he lost the Hokage election years ago. Talk about being a sore loser. Minato grumbled. Looks like we will have to win back the hearts of the people when we come back. We can also get the daimyo involved, but I have a feeling we shouldn't since Hiruzen and the new Hokage would persuade the daimyo to their side. Then what do we do? Kushina asked. We wait. Minato smiled. After 13 years they will all calm down and we can fix the situation when we come home. Because no matter how bad it is, I won't abandon my village. Spoken like a true shinobi, Minato, Jiraiya praised. I raised you with good morals. Indeed you did, sensei, Minato chuckled. Indeed you did.